Anyway, I want to introduce my awesome guest. He is very well known for his epic monologues and rants and just going at it. So let's just dive deep into it, man. Eric, vindication, my friend, vindication for the Bitcoin maxis. We got so much crap. I hope they're hard to find, but I hope that those videos of Alex Mashinsky, the CEO of Celsius, get saved. Of him
Oh yeah,
saying,
they will.
"Oh, they shouldn't take self custody. Self custody is a bad thing." And shout out to Corey Clipson, man, doing the Lord's work, doing Satoshi's work, man, saving so many people. So, what are your thoughts on all this, man? Because I feel like it's vindication, but it's also bittersweet, right? You know, you do get cheaper sats, you get opportunity to buy cheaper Bitcoin, but at the same time, the reality is, you know, whichever which way you see it, right? We all have seen our net worth drop by 77% in the last year. And you know, it is what it is. But how are you feeling about this, bro? Are you I'm feeling bullish. How are you feeling?
Oh, I feel great. I mean, a long time ago, I figured out for myself there's a dynamic cycle that goes through between bear and bull markets, and if you've been here long enough, you know to estimate that like a 4 year cycle is not unexpected. And so, like if you plan accordingly, which I had because I've witnessed this before, I'm doing great. And like right now is I think it's a great time to be building, deploying credit lines if you have those available to you for reasonable costs, and general prudence. But this is a great opportunity where, I figure in 5 years from now, there will be people who are like, yeah, when the price was like at 16K, I was just gathering my stats as I could, leveraging debt because like I just knew it was going to happen. And lo and behold, it did. Because like, look at how epically fucked things are across the board. Like Bankman Fraud's parents, legal professors like two Ivy League schools, like helping direct crypto policy, like they took a $120 million mansion in the Bahamas. And like what's amazing is that like this moron had access to Bitcoin too. They could have they could have figured something out to like get all the Bitcoin, and these like dumb motherfuckers were like, let's get luxury real estate. This is gonna go great with all of our fraud that we're conducting. I gotta just chalk it up to math, man. Like math does crazy shit to people. So
Yes, yes, it does.
and they all seem to, and they're like, but a doctor prescribed our meth, so it must be okay. No, it's like meth still. Which like meth, like sure, meth can help you do some things, but like I don't know if you should be running one of the world's largest financial crypto exchanges when you're like methed out. Like maybe you should just stick to some other occupations.
Dude, I mean, how crazy was that, bro? So we, for the regular show, for Simply Bitcoin Live, which you've been on, of course, we were covering it, and the news is so atrocious because you also like hear the horror stories of people losing their life savings because they haven't learned the lesson of self custody yet. But you're hearing about the penthouse and the parties that they were throwing in the penthouse. And what you were saying about the luxury real estate, and then this dude was like, the perception in the media was that this guy was an altruist and that he didn't own anything and that he just drove a Toyota and that he was just this humble guy. And then you hear about, the drugs and the parties and the orgies at the penthouse. And apparently they own a yacht, $121 million in real estate. So this, what it tells me, Eric, is that crypto, right, it is just fiat times 100 times 1,000, because you're seeing kind of the Wolf of Wall Street story just repeat itself, with even less guardrails, and the degeneracy and the debauchery is just times 10. Of course, from the perspective of Bitcoiners that are taking Bitcoin to self-custody, we're just looking at entertainment and we're kind of laughing about it, but a lot of people got hurt, bro. A lot of people got wrecked, man.
Yeah, like this is the unfortunate consequence that if you would have been listening to us for a while, you would sort of know that this would be expected. And furthermore, like, yeah, of course it's going to end up, like the worst of Wall Street times 100, because like now you can make fictionalize your own token out of thin air that you can ascribe your own value to, that you can offshore through various legal means. You know, and like I had a little tweet storm a little while ago about the sort of banality of evil that's playing out here, because like to me, what he represents is a very particular kind of evil, and it's that which happens kind of in a post-nihilistic world where people go, well, like, you know, there is no good, there's no evil, so like, why shouldn't I just get all the money that I want to push the agenda that I want, you know? And it's pretty scary to see the way that when people have approached him about the ethics of, well, you were doing something wrong, you were stealing from people, you were committing fraud, that doesn't shake him as being wrong, because he was doing something for the greater good. And this was like literally the argument that Eichmann made during his trial, you know, for participating in the Holocaust. You know, like, he didn't think he did anything wrong. Like, he was just obeying the rules and the laws and playing the game how it had to be played. So why was he to be blamed, right?
So you said something really interesting, and I can't wait to kind of dive deep into this topic, which is this post-nihilistic world. You know, you can kind of combine that with post-modernism and all that, and I kind of contribute that to the decadence in the West, right? And I also believe that all these ideologies and all these belief systems are only viable with fake money, with fiat money. I don't think that these ways of thinking and these ideologies or these ways of looking at the world are viable under a Bitcoin standard. You'd get wrecked. I think that you need fake money in order to think this way. And the way how far that skewed people's thinking and all the atrocities that come with it too, right?
Yeah. I mean, you've touched on a really important narrative that, like, essentially since the production of fiat money and the way that it essentially allowed for an ongoing scam and fraud to be like the fundamental development of the West through, you know, the idea of GDP and growth and all these other things. The development of that economy was specifically one that is intrinsically tied to war and genocide, because of the way that, like, this was done in order to finance the war machine. Once the war machine got itself up into power, it became the military-industrial complex, which Eisenhower warned us against. And, like, you know, that was like almost 60 years ago now. And the entirety of this economic development of scientific, technological development, postmodernism, overconsumptionism, and the destruction of communities on a whole and reforming them in suburbia and these other things, like, is the fundamental development of fiatism. And it's made to destroy people in a very particular way in order to homogenize them for statism, which I have an essay about this called The Sovereign, the Subject, and Crypto Power. And essentially, like, this is the state's ultimate goal, is to be able to have full and total control over everyone, because it can and it demands that. It has a strong desire to be able to control people. And particularly now that we have all these insane technological, like the fact that we're dealing with data sets as large as they are and that those can be used for monitoring and surveil means that essentially the state's building a panopticon. And that was only possible through fiatism and the development of this really deplorable culture that develops from the generational building on top of this kind of gluttony and non-ethical stance. You know, it's pretty wild.